Hi, everyone. Welcome back to HeLLO Vanderbilt Libraries, the orientation for LLO students to help introduce you to some of the key resources available through the Vanderbilt Library system. My name is Em, and I'm the librarian for your program. In this second of 3 videos, I'll go over 7 key tips to keep in mind while doing research, especially if you're using library tools. So, where you start your research will really depend on the scope of your questions. So I talked a little bit in the first video just about, the main library website being a good place to go if you're not really certain about exactly what you want to research yet. And then those subject-specific databases being a good place to switch over to once you kind of have your research topic a little bit more in place. So we do have, of course, some resources to kind of help you figure out where to look. And so at the link below, there's a lot of resources by subject, databases, plus other things, maybe like a source for actual data, and a few other recommendations of places that you can go. So you're welcome to check out that link to see all of those resources listed by subject. This is also something that I'm very happy to help with as your librarian. So you're welcome to set up an appointment with me to discuss what your topic is and to talk about what databases would be good for you to do some research in. Searching in the library's subject databases is different from using Google Scholar. So many of you may be familiar with Google Scholar. It's basically a scholarly version of a Google search that's going to pull up books and articles and other a little bit more academic texts than you might get through doing a typical Google search. However, Google Scholar does not always have access to everything. Typically, if something is behind a paywall, it may not know about that resource, or if it does know about it, it may be a little bit harder for you to access it if than it would be if you had gone to it through one of our library websites, whether that's the main library website or one of our scholarly databases. Those subject scholarly databases are something that we pay to have access to. And so they have a lot of articles that are only available if you can get in behind those paywalls. So we definitely recommend using those subject databases while you're a student and you have access to them. And again, you can use that database A to Z list that's linked here in this slide. You can get to Google Scholar through that, but of course you can also get to all of those subject-specific databases. While you're doing your searching, you're going to find that you do discover a lot of sources that may have kind of varying degrees of what we would call scholarship. So you may come across books, peer-reviewed articles, which we would kind of call the gold standard of research because they're the ones that have gone through that process of being reviewed by scholars who are knowledgeable about the research topic and field. Then you may also find some gray literature, which is kind of what we say when we mean literature that's in the middle. So it's not like a popular newspaper article, but it's also not like a peer-reviewed article. So it might be maybe a report that's been released by a nonprofit. Uh, you may also find data. We have several databases that are just focused on data numbers. Then you'll also find dissertations. We do have a specific database that's just for searching dissertations. They may also pop up in other database searching that you do as well. And then those popular articles, which would be like a newspaper article, an article in a magazine, something like The Atlantic. Those would all be examples of popular articles. So you're going to rely more on some than others for the scholarly research that you do. Most of the research that you do is very likely going to be into those peer-reviewed articles and likely also some books. but that doesn't mean that you can't use other types of scholarship. It's just important to understand what it is that you're looking at. So with the research guide that's linked below, that kind of gives you a walkthrough of all the different resource types and some places that you might go to search for them, depending on what you're looking for. All right. So scholarly research is really more of an iterative process, a cyclical process, as opposed to just a checklist item. So as nice as it might be, unfortunately, we can't just check off doing research after looking in like one database. It is a process that takes more more checking, more brainstorming. You might do one search in one database and not really find anything, but do the same search in a different database that's focused on a different topic. And then you might actually find some literature that would be helpful for your project. So we talk a lot about just, trying again, trying different searches in the same place, trying the same search in different places. And that's why we really do recommend documenting your steps in a research log or by using a citation tool. We recommend taking notes on what searches you try and in which databases, and maybe even on which day, because new scholarship is being published all the time. So just know that if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this research over and over, am I even getting anywhere? Yes, you are doing it right. It just takes some time. All right. If we don't have a specific resource that you're interested in, typically we are able to get that for you and deliver it electronically. We participate in something called interlibrary loan, which is basically an agreement that Vanderbilt Libraries has with other libraries at other academic institutions. And so if we don't have a particular article in our holdings, we contact other libraries who might have it, and whoever does have it sends it to us, and then we send it to you. It comes to your email. So there's a page called Interlibrary Loan that I definitely recommend that you bookmark. It's linked down at the bottom of this slide. And that's just has a form that you can use to fill out to request an article or a book or whatever other resource it might be, to have that delivered to you. So please don't feel like you're not able to access something, because the odds are very good that we will be able to access it for you. It might just take a few extra days. So it's also really important when we're doing research to credit ideas that are not our own via citations. This is likely something that your professors are going to talk with you more about. Most classes here at Peabody do use APA citation style. Um, and we do have resources also to help you with those citations. You'll see at the bottom we have linked our APA for Peabody research guide that has a lot of helpful information. And then we also recommend that you use a citation tool. Two very popular ones are Zotero and Mendeley. And those are really helpful to be able to keep track of your work for future bibliographies, as well as to save PDFs and help you generate citations. So last but definitely not least, there are a lot of AI tools out there, and many of them can help you think, help you brainstorm, but they can't think for you. And that's a really important distinction that we try really hard to make here at the libraries. We do also provide access to you as Vanderbilt students to both chat tools, which is more like you might think of your typical generative AI tool. So we do have ChatGPT EDU, which is an education-specific version of ChatGPT that we would definitely recommend you use. All you need for that is your Vanderbilt email. We also have our own kind of chat tool that's called Amplify. And so again, you just need to log in with your Vanderbilt email, and then you can kind of choose which model you want to interact with, which is a cool feature of Amplify. We also have access to AI research tools. Specifically, we have access to something called Cite, and that's much more of a tool that can help you find some of those scholarly articles, those research articles, and it's less likely to generate what we would call hallucinations or making up information. So again, we have a link to the bottom where our research guide is for using AI at Peabody. I would definitely recommend that you check that out. And of course, as with all of these topics, I'm more than happy to talk with you about this as well. So that's the end of our second video. Again, I do just want to emphasize that you're welcome to reach out to me at any point. Please get in touch via email or by making an appointment. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.